Alrighty, here we go again. We're going to start drawing on this airplane. I've actually started this video about 4 times and I've stopped it because it was running into like 50 minutes and I'm just dragging stuff out too long. So I've done a little practice. So this should be a little bit better. Okay, this is where we left off last time. I'm not sure how you get rid of this box. There's a command. I got to find out that you can actually hide this box and pull it back out. The toolbox on the left, if you actually push T, it will get rid of the tools. If you push T, it'll bring them back. Sometimes this is advantageous if you're drawing something and you're zooming in. And then sometimes it depends on the size of your screen or your, I've drawn with this on, but if you're drawing something big, sometimes it's nice to have it off. Okay, one of the things I noticed about this, where I left this off, is that I didn't exactly have, I want my center of gravity of this airplane actually to be in the center of these axis lines. This is going to be basically the center of your 3D object. And I try to actually put it pretty close to the center of gravity on an airplane for a couple different reasons. It just makes it easier to draw, and it tickles my senses, I guess. So I'm going to right click on this picture to select it. I'm going to hold my mouse wheel and angle this a little bit. And then if you push shift, you right click on this picture up top, then it selects both pictures at the same time. Sometimes you don't need to worry about that, and then sometimes if you move one, it messes it up with the alignment of the other one, depending on the direction you're going. Forward and backwards, we definitely want these to be basically lined up together. So I'm going to take this top picture here. I'm going to push this T, get this out of the way. What I want to do is line up. I'm going to push G for grab, and then X to constrain it to the X-axis, and then I'm going to move it, give or take, right about there. That's basically where your pilot sits. That's usually where they put a center of gravity pretty much in an airplane. They wanted it more or less right in the pilot's belly or right in the pilot's hind end, basically, so that the plane feels real balanced when they're flying it. So we're gonna click the left mouse button and lock that there, and then that's pretty much where I want this picture picture front to back. And it's a little bit off. I can tell I need to rotate it just a hair, but we'll play with that in a little bit. We'll push 1. Okay, now I want to bring this down, and I could unselect the bottom picture, but it's not going to matter. But also this plane looks like it's a little skewed off, so I'm going to push A to unselect both pictures. I'm going to right click on the top picture only, and we're going to push G, and then we're going to push Z for constrain it to the Z axis, and then we're going to bring this down. Alright, just about almost there. Okay, that's making me happier. Now I'll line these pictures up more, because we're going to start drawing. Where I actually want to start drawing on this is one of the more complicated objects on this picture I see so far, is this front fairing for the engine. This had a 9-cylinder engine in this aircraft, so it had 9-cylinder jugs that was sitting in a circle, and these little teardrop pumps that are on top, the cowling that you see here, those were actually where the rocker arms extended to. This plane, they made this plane so small they decided not to build that cowling like 3 inches more in diameter. They actually built the cowling and put in these teardrop little buckets for the room for the rocker arms. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an object, and your object is going to spawn right there dead in center where that little life buoy cursor is at, and it will spawn. We'll see it from the side, or we'll see it from the top. So the first thing, what I'm going to do, and especially considering that this had a 9-cylinder engine, we need to make our cylinder or our piece and divisions of that so that we can line up those teardrops real easy. And an easy way to do this is we're going to go down onto the bottom screen. And I don't think you can see my cursor on here. I've been watching my videos and you can kind of see what I'm clicking, but it doesn't show you the cursor, which is kind of irritating to me because actually the cursor would be real educational in this video. So I'm going down to this top toolbar where it says View, Select, Add, right under where it says Empty on this picture. So we're going to click Add. Then you get your little menu here, and going from bottom to top, the first thing you see is Mesh. We want to go into Mesh, and we're actually going to make a torus. And then we need to click our T again for our torus. And if you notice in this little torus window where it says Add Torus, it says Major Segments and Minor Segments. Okay, your major segments are actually, we'll zoom in on this, your major segments are actually your segments that are going in your degrees. Like if you did 360 degrees, you would have 360 of these lines, basically. Or you'd actually have 360 of the segments. You'd probably have 361 lines. So you need to know that in case you're wanting lines and or segments. To do this, we want to go 9 and 9 is 18, 18 and 18 is 36. We could go 36. Or we could go 72. Basically 72 wouldn't be bad, even though this is a lot of vertices. This is one of the most complicated things on this airplane. And it's one of the few things that really has curves that you want to. So we wanted to go 72 segments. And you can see those little segments are small. Major segments 12, that's probably fine. But we could also make this about 14 or 16, and then we can back off. We get a nice little shape on the front of the nose of the airplane, and then the rest of it's not too awful bad. That's just one of the few places on this airplane where it's curved. It's two-dimensionally. It's three-dimensionally curved. It's not just curved around like on the tail. It's literally curved in two directions. So now that we set that there, what we want to do is we're going to rotate this torus that we just made, which looks like a big donut or a tire. We're going to rotate it, push R, and then we're going to push Y, and then we're going to push 9-0, which turns it straight up and down. And we're going to push the T because we don't need the toolbox at this point in time. We're going to start drawing our airplane with this object. Okay, now we're going to push grab, which is G, and we want to grab it along the X-axis. And we're going to move it to the front of the plane here. Right there. And then we're going to push Z so we can see through it. Oh, and I noticed I'm in object mode. So we come down here where it says View, Select, Add Object and Object Mode, and we're going to click Edit Mode. And we're in the vertice slot, so we can see this. Okay, now we can scale this. We push S. And this torus is centered, since we had our center buoy. It's centered to the scene of the screen. And if we scale it down a little bit, we notice, this airplane's actually a hair off center. So we grab this on the X again, move it up a little bit. We've got it pretty straight. It's not too bad, but it's a little bit off. So, the way to fix this is we'll unselect this torus and we'll push Z to make it an object. We'll go back into object mode, unselect that torus. We're going to click on this picture. Right click to select the picture, and then we're going to rotate it just a little bit. Push R, and then we're going to push Z because we want to rotate it straight from top to bottom. And we're going to move it just about like that. See, I just bumped it just a hair, and it lined basically the front of that torus up. And it didn't seem to throw the alignment of the airplane off much, so I must have just either the picture's drawn just a hair off, or I have it just a hair off. But that seems a little bit better for our references. So now we'll right click on this again. Actually, before we do that, we need to push our 1, And then we'll reference the side thing too, and then that way up, and see it's just a little tiny bit off. Okay, so if we right click this picture, we make sure we have the bottom one still selected. We want to unselect that. We want to push A. We want to right click on this picture here, and then we'll zoom it in a little bit, and then we will rotate this again. Rotate it, and we want to constrain this one to the Y, so we push the R, then we push the Y. And that's what we're actually looking at. And then we're going to rotate this picture. Actually, this seems a little worse. Right about there, which is actually quite a bit. And that makes the plane, I think that's just a little off, or the picture's drawn a little off, so we're going to push R, Y again. We're going to come up a hair. That's about right. And still it looks like the airplane's a hair off. But we're drawing on the front right now, so let's grab the picture, and let's constrain it to the Z. Let's bring it up. Right about there. And let's grab it again, push G again. I push the left mouse button. Okay, push grab, and then push X. So we got it constrained to the X. And right about there, that looks pretty good for that cowling. Okay, now let's push A to deselect the picture. Let's right click on the torus, or left click if yours is set up for left click. Again, like I said, I can show you how to. I guess I could go to that right quick. If you go up to the top to File, click on File. You go down to the middle, you see this User Preferences, okay? Click on User Preferences. You come over the third from the left over, it says Input. You click on Input. Now if you go down here, you notice this says Select With, and it says left or right. Okay, most programs you select with the left, you don't select with the right, if I remember right. So if we actually click on left, and then come down where it says Save User Settings, click on Save, X out of there. Now if I push A to deselect it, if I push the left button, it'll select it, and then your right button will actually move your buoy cursor, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to move that buoy cursor unless you actually want to build an object outside of your object. You want that in the center of your object, which right now it's not in the center of the object, but it's in the center of what we're wanting to draw as an object. So when we have this done, this will be the center of the parent object, or if we have it all selected, it'll be selected as one object. It'll be in the center of this thing. And there's other little tricks I'll show you later on, but for drawing purposes, we want that there now. Okay, so we got our top view and our side view pretty much lined up to this donut. And you'll notice this cowling actually isn't perfectly, it's not perfectly geometrical. It's pretty close. I think what they did is I think they stretched the bottom out a little bit because of the exhaust and stuff, but for the most part, so we're gonna draw this first. We're gonna make this perfectly geometrical, then we're gonna stretch the distortion into it. So how we do that now, we're on object mode. We're going to go back to edit mode, because edit mode allows you to actually do things. And I have no front reference picture. There actually is a front picture of this airplane, but it's pretty crappy. It's in black and white lines, and we might have to use that. But if I can avoid using that, actually, if I had a really good picture, I wouldn't mind using it, but the picture's not all that great. So what we want to do is we're going to push 3, and that's actually your front view. And right now, since we don't have a reference picture, there's just nothing but you see this donut. Okay, if we jump out of full screen right quick here and minimize this, and I'm going to go onto the internet here, and I'm going to go on the internet where we have some pictures of this airplane. And I have a model. I really need to dig the model out too. But we're going to look at basically the front of this airplane. And like I said, here's some front pictures, but they're so small that I don't really know if I save them, because what I'm wanting to do is figure out how they have the cylinders aligned in this. So this is a 9-cylinder engine, and we're going to have to figure out where the cylinders are lined up in this. And there's a couple of different ways of doing this. If we kind of figure out where those teardrops line up on there. But being a 9-cylinder engine, there's 18 of those teardrops in a circle around on that, and they're spaced a certain way to allow the rocker arms to actually set up in there. And we'll get that figured out here. Let's go back into Blender. Okay, but for now what we want to do is we're going to put Z so we can see through this. And this is a donut. We're not wanting a donut. We're just wanting part of this shape. We're not wanting the whole shape. But we're also going to take some of the other lines to manipulate them for this cowling. So what I want to do with this donut, we're going to push Z. And we're going to basically figure out what the middle line is, which is actually this line right here. If you count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the fifth line is the middle line. You can count from the inside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the middle line, is the fifth line. So if you push Control on your keyboard and hold it, then you left click on your mouse. Why is it not working? Is it Alt? Oh, yeah, you can actually select the whole rings using Alt too. But you should be able to control. Oh, I know why, because I changed it. So it's not Control left click, it's Control right click. If you push Control and you push the right mouse button, and unless you have select with the right, you can drag these little circles in here. And if you're really good, you can do this whole thing at once. And if you're not, then you can select X amount, and then you can go in little amounts and draw little circles. This is kind of the same thing as the box, except for like going in a circle of box, you would have to draw a whole bunch of boxes and hold Control to keep pushing Control so that you didn't deselect the last thing that you grabbed. Okay, so I have selected, and since it's hollow, oops, I missed one here. I've selected all of these inner vertices, and that would be front and back. If it was shaded, you would just get the front. But I've actually, basically, we're going to get rid of the inside of this tire here, this Taurus. We're going to get rid of that. And all we have to do now is push delete, and then click on the vertices. And now we have a half ring. Okay, kind of like a clamp band or something. And like if you cut a inner tube in half, you got rid of the inside of the inner tube. Now if we come back here, we push Z. Okay, so what we want to do is we're going to draw a box around this whole thing again. Have the whole thing selected, and we're going to scale it. And we're going to scale it a little bit like this. Now if you notice, the top sticks out just a hair past the top, and the bottom is coming a little bit past the bottom there. So you want to kind of try to balance that out close in the middle. Click the mouse button, the left mouse button. We're going to push G, and we're going to push Z, and we're going to just move this down a little bit. See, but we're getting it to where it looks. We're getting it to where it's really damn close to the picture. It's looking pretty close to the picture. And if we pay a little bit of attention, our center line, which actually, since we went kind of screwy on the yeah, our center line's pretty close to the prop. Maybe grab Z just a hair higher. Yeah, that's pretty close, and we might have to just dink around a little bit and because this is a hand drawing, so it's possible he's slightly a smidgen off on some things. And that's where you do a little bit of dead reckoning, and if you know it's something centered, or it just makes sense that it's something centered, then we might just have to center that prop just a hair different than what this is. Okay, let's push Z. Whoops, no, let's not push Z. Let's push A. So we got this shape. Now let's see what this looks like from above. Look at there. That's pretty close. That's pretty close. We just have just a smidgen of difference on the right side on the drawing, but like I said, you can be just a hair off, because I think this drawing is a pretty old painting or drawing, and it was actually an artist did this on paper, so this isn't like on GIMP or Photoshop or anything, I don't believe. So there's going to be minor errors. I think that's close enough for our purposes, and I know in my mind that this thing, I haven't distorted it at all yet, so this is pretty straight so far. So we can, at this point, we can either draw from the top or from the sides. Now the top's probably going to be more geometric than the side. The side, if you notice the side profile, like I said, the bottom of the cowling's not the same as the top of the cowling. And we're going to do some things to change that around a little bit. But before that, like I said, we're going to draw it geometric before we start drawing it not geometric. So what we want to do here is we want to make a box, and we want to go just halfway in, which is actually 4 lines. Looks like 3, but there's 4 there. There's 4 lines, okay? And then we're going to take this. We're going to take this here. We're going to push G, and then we're going to push X, okay? And we're going to drag this out a little bit here. And actually, I think before we drag it out, we're going to right click, we're going to leave it where it is. We're going to scale this again. We're going to scale this part. Push S. We're going to scale this whole thing, because this cowling actually, from what I can see, goes like this. Now a trick we can use, because we want to keep that shape. Yeah, if we push E, which is extrude, and then we push X, what we can do is, oh, why didn't it select the bottom? That's weird. Huh, interesting. I wonder how I have breaks in that. Let's go like here. Let's go unselect. Box. Oh, I know why. It's because it's trying to extrude all of those lines. Okay, so let's grab X and let's go to these cylinder ends here. And let's scale. Scale to about there. Let's go back and put a box around the center one here. Let's scale a little bit more. Right about there. Which kind of threw off the next one. Scale. And let's go a box here. Scale. Let's drag it in just a hair. And maybe we'll leave that be. Let's hit a Z, see what it looks like. I think it looks pretty good. It don't look too bad. Let's go back to 7. Other than it don't seem like we're getting our shape on the top here, which is kind of concerning me a little bit. So let's push Z. Let's select this whole thing, box. And let's scale it. It's a little bit bigger. And let's grab it. Grab it, and let's go Z, and let's go hair down. Oops. Grab Z. Oh, some on the. I know what's. I forgot that I'm looking at the top. I'm thinking we're looking at the side, so let's go 1. And let's go scale. Let's go down a little bit like we were right about there. Yeah, about there. Okay. Let's go Z to. Let's go A to deselect. Box B. And let's go grab it on the X. Drag it out to about there. Zoom in. Now this one's going to be a little bit harder, or what might make it easier for you is, again, if you go 3, you zoom in. But actually, if you push Alt and then left click on the ring, it'll click the whole inner ring. And then if you push 1 again, except for the problem with that was we selected the front ring, which I didn't want to select the front ring, so push A to deselect. Come at an angle. If you actually come on one of these lines, you push Alt again and click on the inner line. I got double vertices. I have to freaking start over. It makes me mad. Or actually, let's push A to unselect it. Let's make a box. Let's go around this whole thing, and let's go into Tools. And if you come down into Tools, we need to go to okay. You slide this slider all the way down. You got Transform, Mesh Tools, Add, Remove. In this Remove section, at the very bottom, it says Remove Doubles. You click on Remove Doubles. I just removed 144 verticals, and the reason I made doubles is because when I was trying to extrude that, and then I changed my mind, I actually made double dots, double vertices. So we'll push this T. So I just got rid of all of those 144 doubles. Now if I push A again, okay, now I should be able to come down here, push Alt, hold the Alt button, click on one of the lines on this inner ring, and I should have a solid ring. I don't have no more little white dots and no little black lines and stuff because I got rid of those double vertices. That's one of the things in these programs you can do so accidentally is make a double vertice, and then it makes problems later because you actually have double lines and double dots and they're in the same place. And then you're trying to connect stuff, and what you do is you connect part of a model to the wrong part of the other dots. Okay, let's push 1 again. Okay. Now let's push G, and then on the X-axis, yeah, we got a smooth line now. And actually you got a little bit of a curve here, and this is one of the things I was wanting to show you here. Is like if we stop here, I push Control, roll the mouse wheel a little bit, I push Shift, roll the mouse wheel a little bit, and I'm actually going to zoom the mouse wheel in, Control back over a little bit. Okay, so I want to get this curve here too, so I want to scale this to that curve. Okay. And then I want to, if I push E for extrude, Then I push X. Then I actually drag this line out. I just copied that back line. I extruded it, which means like if you were stretching steel, I just stretched the steel out. I copied this line, but since I did it once, I didn't change my mind. I didn't make double vertices. Okay, so I want to zoom down a little bit. Now what I want to do is go scale, S, and I want to scale this down. Right about there. Okay, then I push A, and then if I push Z, now we have our, basically our fairing. And yet, this is a lot of vertices. If you actually look, we got 648 faces. We have 1,368 edges, and we have 720 vertices. So that's probably 10 times. Remember, we had 72 segments. We got 72 vertices times 10. So that makes sense. But you see how that doesn't look like it's a lot, but it adds up quick on here. So the simpler you can draw stuff, the better. But some of these things aren't simple to draw. They actually have quite complex shape, like this thing. So this is pretty cool. We almost got our fairing now. Okay, let's look at it from the top. On the top, what we might do a little bit is we can go Z. And then we're going to go with the box, and see, and you got to be careful because this bump here, where I'm seeing the circle, that's actually one of them little rocker arms. So that's actually pretty much where it's supposed to be. So I think I'll hit A, and we'll leave that B, even though it looks like over here like it's not really where it's supposed to be. But I think if we take this one, we make a box here. We actually box this whole thing in these last 3 lines. We hit scale, left click, scale. That's pretty much closer. And deselect, and then we're going to hit the box. And we're going to scale it again. A little bit, maybe right about there. Hit A, we're going to hit the box. Hit the box on this last one. We're going to hit scale. And that's pretty close. Now, what we want to do is we want to box these 3. We want to hit G and then X, and we're going to move them here because when you scale them, it, like I said, it tends to move them all these 3 directions. Now, one thing I noticed on here that is going to be a big pain in the butt if we actually tried to draw it is this fairing in the back looks like it's curved in a big circle. It doesn't look like it goes straight around the airplane. It actually looks like it, like as you go along, it actually has a big curve in it. And the only way we could do that is, we might work on that later. That's going to be time consuming because we're going to have to go 2 vertice sets at a time, and we're going to have to grab them and drag them backwards, and then we're going to have to go to the next set outer. We're going to have to work our way into the out to actually do that. And that might be on next one. I think I'm going to check right there. I think we're going to give that. Now, this is kind of funny here, too. It doesn't seem... The top and the back doesn't seem to match exactly. It doesn't seem to be exactly lined up. Let's hit a Z in. We could maybe go to object mode and click on this picture. Whoopsie, see, I right clicked on it instead of left clicking on it. So we want to go Shift Z or Shift C to center our buoy again. And then we want to left click on this picture. And then I'm going to grab it and drag it just a hair forward. Grab it on the X. And there. Okay, we're going to go to 7 again. And now I got to realign it because it unaligned because of that buoy mess. And I guess where the sides come down, that's where we're getting our extra stuff. On the sides of this airplane. On the sides of this airplane, this fairing comes out this far. On the top of the airplane, it curves. So we're going to have to figure out how to match that up in the next lesson. And I hope you keep watching and enjoy it. We'll see you later on the next lesson.